Hello and welcome to this first video to help you manage your controlled assessment and obviously help you thrive and survive through the course of the year. Just some tips really to help you succeed. This should be nothing kind of groundbreaking here, should all be common sense. The first one there is stick to the deadlines. Obviously you've got a final deadline, but that's somewhere, it looks like it's somewhere off in the future, back right into year 11. You're going to get lots of interim deadlines in the meantime. Now make sure you stick to those because they're designed to help you get what you need done at the right time, okay? Otherwise you're going to get a build up of work. Second one there, manage your time little and often. So tasks are going to be given out at regular intervals to help you succeed in your controlled assessment. What you really need to do is make sure that you're making most of the lesson time plus the homework time that you're given. So sometimes what you might do is you might think, okay, I'll just finish that at home later, or I'll just do that later. And before you know it, you've got lots of little things that you need to finish off, and it can seem like a mountain of work that you need to do. And what happens when you have a big mountain of work to do is that you probably don't do any of it, okay? And you have to bear in mind as well that, of course, this isn't your only subject, you have lots of other subjects as well, so even if you think you've got time to do it later, chances are you're going to be getting work from other subjects as well, and therefore this is going to impact either on this subject or this subject will impact on your others, and that's not the aim of the game really. So little and often is the key. Do the work as it's given to you, make sure you're applying yourself 100% in lessons and for the allotted homework time, and you will be absolutely fine, okay? Next one, make sure each page is packed. So the controlled assessment portfolio is 20 pages, okay? You can go up to around about 25 as a maximum. Okay, now those 20 pages are going to be the same for every student, okay, in every school. So some students obviously are aiming for their C grades or their B grades, and some students are aiming for, particularly in this school, the A's and the A stars, okay, so, but the same 20 pages will be in both. The way to differentiate between the kind of top end or a middle or a bottom end folder is to make sure that the information contained within that folder is concise, but it's also packed out. If there are any spaces in your folder, it's going to look like you've missed something out. Okay, so each page needs to be packed and brimming with information that will help you with your project and help communicate your ideas to the examiner to make sure that you're ticking all those boxes and getting all the marks in the right places. Okay, listen to your teacher. Okay, so a common mistake that we see is that students spending hours and hours and hours over pieces of work that actually don't give them any marks. And whilst that might be a source of personal pride to get that kind of stuff done, and that's absolutely fine, what you need to be able to do is make sure that you're applying the most amount of time to the sections that give you the most amount of marks, okay? So sometimes we're going to require really neat, really detailed, really accurate work in order to get the marks, and other times we're just going to require lots and lots of quick sketches, lots and lots of quick models in order to prove out an idea, for example. Okay? If we're looking for quick sketches and quick models, we will tell you that, and that's what you need to be able to produce. Okay? There's no point in spending weeks and weeks and weeks over a small model that doesn't really give you a great deal of marks later on. Okay? So listen to your teacher, sometimes neat, sometimes accurate, sometimes detailed, sometimes quick, so depending on what is required for that part of the folder. Back up your work. It's really painful. It happens every year. A student will lose their USB and all their coursework is on it, and there's nothing we can do unless there's a backup. What you must do is make sure that your most up-to-date copy of your coursework is always on your school account. The USB should only be used to transfer work from one place to another, so i.e. from school to home or home to school, but it should never ever be your only copy. Okay? Next one, own it. Okay, now you're responsible for your project, you're responsible for delivering every aspect of your project, okay? So what you need to be able to do is drive your project forward, okay? You need to take responsibility for that and make sure that you're excited about the brief that you're going to choose, because it's going to last best part of 2 to 3 terms. So you need to be able to make sure that you own the project and you feel like you want to be able to deliver it, okay? Because it's your responsibility, nobody else's. Use your sketchbook. Sometimes when you're working something out, you'll do lots and lots of little sketches in order to prove out an idea, work out some sizes or some fixings. That sketchbook is absolutely invaluable because it shows your thinking. Okay? Otherwise, what might happen is you'll have an initial idea, suddenly a product at the end, and no record of how you got from one place to another. The sketchbook is ideal for this. Okay? It should be a record of your thinking. So in maths, for example, you might solve a problem, you get a question, you get the answer, and then you show your workings. That's our way of showing our workings. It does not need to be a collection of artwork. It needs to be a collection of your record of creative, innovative thought and problem solving skills, okay? And refer to the mark scheme. So whilst it's nice to do lots of different bits and pieces, we can only apply marks for elements that are in the mark scheme, and when we mark your work, we'll have the mark scheme next to the work itself, so make sure that when you're completing the work you have the mark scheme there as well, so you know what to put in the relevant sections. Okay? So a quick overview then of the controlled assessment. There are 5 criterions that you need to think about. The first one is worth 8 marks, a relatively small amount. So that's what, about 9%? Of your total marks out of 90, roughly 45 hours worth of work. Okay, so the first one's investigating the design context. That's all your research, your design brief, your research, your analysis of research, and your specification. That shouldn't take very long. It's only worth 8 marks. It needs to give you enough information to be able to provide some design ideas for later discussion. But that's it. Okay, so 8 marks there, done. Criterion 2 and Criterion 3 overlap a great deal. So Criterion 2 is development of the design proposals. That's all your initial ideas, development of ideas, any additional research you need to do, any model making, and detailed design drawings. And the actual making, that will happen towards the end of Criterion 2. So really, that's a 64 mark section. Okay, this is where we should spend the vast majority of our time. It's where the greatest amount of marks are, and therefore the risk of us losing the great amounts of marks. Okay, so we need to be able to get onto this section pretty quick. So let's not waste our time on Criterion 1 unless it's absolutely necessary. Criterion 4 is evaluation. It's worth 12 marks. This is traditionally a section that gets left to last minute, and then students lose kind of needless marks really because they've taken too long over these sections before. It's evaluation and modifications. Now you get marks in this section for evaluation throughout. Okay, so if you're doing all the right things in the right places, you're going to get a chunk of marks there anyway for this section. And then there's a summative evaluation at the end, plus any modifications that you might make if you're moving forward. The last section there, Criterion 5, is communication. That again is assessed throughout, so it's not a section in its own, it's just a separate allocation of marks. That's for quality of written communication, and how well presented your folder is, how concise it is, and whether or not it contains all the information that you need. Okay, so 5 criterions. The first one, nice and quick. The next 2 is the extended section where you design and make your product, evaluating, and then communicating. Okay guys, good luck.